Well, good night and welcome to another The Shield During the Couch interview. Tonight we have Dominic Gabriel from Announce the Apocalypse. Dominic, how are you? How's everything in Tampa?
Good. Thank you, Hector. It's good. It's kind of cold, but all in all, everything's good out here.
So thank you for meeting with me. So I know that you just released an album last November,
Yes.
Nefarious Means, which you have the poster in the back. So I just want to, talk a little bit, just give me a little bit of bio on the band. How and when did the band form, and how did that take place?
Yeah, so Announce the Apocalypse formed actually in 2007 with the first lineup. So we released a demo, pretty much just demo recordings around that time. We were still in high school, and we split up for a long time. And then we regrouped in 2016 with the original members, and we're all from the Detroit metro area, Detroit, Michigan. So we all regrouped. Yeah, so we regrouped and we took all the old material from 2007 and kind of revamped it. And we went in the studio to record Ruins. And we went to record Ruins in, I think it was late 2016. And we did that whole album in essentially 3 or 4 days. And that's why the sound is so raw. And then we kind of dismantled, dismembered, within the next couple of years. And that's ultimately what made me make Nefarious Means. This is kind of almost like a solo. It's still Announce the Apocalypse, but I did it all myself with the help of Adrian Erlandsson from At the Gates. I hired him to do the drums for the record. And I'm the only remaining member for that time, but I have new members, and that's, later in the story, but yeah.
So how did you get Adrian from At the Gates to record on the album for drums? That's huge.
Yeah. I just did some research because I knew I still wanted to make music with the name, because the name was somewhat established in the underground, with the first album and the EP. So I decided to continue with the name, and I just wanted to hire a drummer essentially. So I did some research and I found that there was a website called Metal for Hire where you can actually find big drummers from established bands. And I thought Adrian was the perfect match because the direction I was going was more melodic death metal. I was listening to a lot of At the Gates, Death, so the fact that he was even an option was ideal for me. When I saw him as an option, that was perfect because I was listening to a lot of Slaughter at the Soul while I was writing this album.
So it fit perfectly with the sound of the new album. So what are the main influence that you would say that for you make the sound of Announce the Apocalypse?
Well, definitely for Nefarious Means, my main influences were, if I had to name the top 4, it's always going to be Metallica, Slayer, a lot of Death with like the Human era, and At the Gates. Definitely, those are the top 4 bands if I had to name them. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, the sound. When I was listening to the albums, first Ruins, it's more like thrash metal, really raw, but really good. And I heard the EP as well, which has some thrash metal elements. But when I heard Nefarious Means, especially on the first track, Outbreak, you could hear there's a lot of soloing on that track, and it's almost like 10 minutes long. And there's technicality, there's like technical elements, death metal elements, like progressive elements. So I saw the transition that you did. Was that some you wanted to add maybe longer songs with more technicality on this last release?
Yeah, I think with Ruins, because we didn't really have a lot of time to prepare. We had the material, but we just kind of went in the studio. We didn't, if you listen to that first album, it's very raw. It's a raw sounding album. A lot of the solos are almost just made up on the spot. They weren't really prepared necessarily. If you hear them, they're very Slayer-esque in their approach. And with this album, with Nefarious Means, I didn't know if this was going to be my last album, but I knew I wanted to make at least one album that I was really proud of, that I really took my time and was precise with everything, with the solos, the vocals, the production, everything just had to be top notch. So I think it's just a statement of how I have progressed as a musician and how my influences have inspired me to make this album.
And the recording process, I know that you started recording some parts in North Carolina. Then when you moved to Tampa, you recorded on Morrisound Sounds, which obviously he's famous for recording death. And obviously Tampa is like the mecca of death metal in the States. Was that the reason that you moved to Tampa? Had a reason had to be to finish the album in Tampa?
Yeah, that's a funny story because we were in North Carolina that's where I was living for the time. You know, I was working in North Carolina, and I did some research and found Jamie King. You know, he records Between the Buried and Me. That's his probably most famous act that he records with, and he's just a very good producer. Excellent guy. So I recorded Outbreak because I didn't really intend to make a whole album. You know, I just wanted to do Outbreak that's why it's so long. It's an 11-minute track. I wanted to do a standalone song. And then the quality, I was very impressed with how it turned out. And we eventually began to move south to Florida because, yeah, like as you mentioned, the whole death metal scene and everything, I always wanted to see what it's like. I wanted to experience that because Chuck Schuldiner and death did inspire me so much in this time in my life. So we started to come south. And that's when I started writing more material, corresponding with Adrian via email and preparing all the remaining 4 songs. And then by the time we moved to Tampa, I booked time with Morrisound and Jim Morris. Yeah. And Morrisound and Jim Morris, he actually engineered the album. He produced Death's Symbolic and Death's Sound of Perseverance. So I actually got to work with him for those 2 days there. And it just worked out. Everything was planned accordingly, and it worked out.
So how was that experience of recording with Jim?
It was really cool. I mean, I honestly, it was laid back. I was prepared. He's obviously a very professional guy, and it was a smooth experience. He actually let me play through Chuck's cabinet because he has Chuck's cabinet. You know, after his passing, he left it to Jim. So he told me I was using his cab while I was recording. So that was pretty surreal, I guess.
Maybe he channeled a little bit in you for the process of the album.
Maybe.
So obviously the evolution from Ruins to Nefarious means the thrash sound added with the death elements. So talk a little bit about what your writing process is like for you. Like, do you first write the music and then the lyrics, or do you first write lyrics and then according to the lyrics you think of music to go along with them?
Yeah, it's always, I would say 99% it's the music first. Like right now I'm writing new material with the new guys I have, and it's always the music, and then the vocals. If I have an idea, then the vocals kind of just fall into place based on the rhythm of the guitar work. Like if I have a concept for what the song is going to be about, then I'll just immediately start forming words as I'm writing the riffs. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, you know, but normally it's always the music that comes first.
The music first. So let me put a picture here first so people can see more of the artwork. Let's see first the artwork of obviously the last album. Let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
For Nefarious Means. So who worked on the artwork? What did you want it, to convey with this artwork?
Yeah, so I apologize. The actual artist, I don't know off the top of my head. I found him online. I found him on. He did this actually in December of 2020, I believe. That's when he finished the artwork. So what I wanted to convey, I essentially contacted the artist and I gave him just some examples I found online. I wanted just to find a ruined city, just completely a city that was destroyed. And then he came up with this. It's a very simple cover, but that's what I wanted. I wanted something simple because I wanted the music to really be the voice of the record. Yeah,
but yeah, it's a great cover, and I think it really establishes what that album is about. But I love the cover of the first album. I'm gonna show it.
Oh yeah.
That's a great cover.
There
it is. So do you remember who did that one?
Yeah, he was a tattoo artist in Detroit, Michigan. Actually, my buddy, he had me contact him. He knew him because he did tattoos, and I remember getting that cover for the first time, and we were blown away because we thought it was great.
Yeah, no, it really looks kick-ass. And so right now you're in Tampa. So you mentioned that you found some local musicians in Tampa to join the band.
That's right.
Okay, so now that you have like this, it's like a new lineup, new band, and you already put out Nefarious Means in November. Are there plans for new music soon?
Yes, so I found another lead guitarist. So he's an official member. His name is Kelly Byrnes, and we also recruited a bass player. His name is Shawn Loureiro. So he just came from Vegas recently, so he moved to Tampa, and I've been playing with them now for a little close to 2 months. And new music is being written currently. Yes, I have a whole concept record I'm establishing. So like I'll like it like almost like Pink Floyd's The Wall. I'm doing that. I'm doing that, but in like metal form. That's my vision. I have a whole story and everything.
The metal wall.
Yeah, the metal wall. Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. And do you plan maybe on recording this year? And would you think this would see the light of day this year or more for next year?
Yeah, we're not sure because we still haven't found a drummer, but we were discussing the conflict because regardless if we find a drummer or not, we do want to proceed with this writing and maybe if we have to, we might have to hire a drummer for the studio time because it is hard finding a drummer because of the technicality of the music and there's just not enough drummers in the area that are available. I've been looking for months now and a lot of them are already in a band or just can't perform to what Adrian did on this album, you know.
Oh yeah, the drumming on Nefarious sounds great. And I was looking at your Instagram and I saw the picture of him that he recorded. So yeah, that gave it an extra level for the music. And right now, so you have this album that you put out a few months ago. Have you been able to play some shows for it in because I know Florida, you know, Florida's open.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I made this album and I didn't know if that was it, if I was done, but I love the result. And then, you know, we obviously were in Tampa. So I decided, you know, this music deserves to be played live. I just feel like if it were to be played live, it could do something different because the metal world, in my opinion, is very stagnant right now. There's obviously you have the great bands that are releasing a lot of the death metal bands. I feel like they're just kind of stuck in a spot and I want to be able to do something different. So that's why I do want to get this new lineup formed and show this music live so it can be expanded.
No, yeah, that's great. And so in Nefarious what are the main themes that run through the album?
Yeah, so this is not a concept album. However, I did have almost a storyline from beginning to end. So sorry, excuse me.
No, that's great.
Knocked out my earplugs. But yeah, the album, it starts with an outbreak. That's how we have the alarm start. And then so the outbreak happens within society. A virus spreads. And after the outbreak, there's high tension, which is track 2. And there's like social turmoil happening after the outbreak. Then after that, there's a song called Contrived Death. And that's kind of how the media manipulates the situation for their own benefit. And then we have Purge and Rise, where that's probably the most positive song on the album. And that's about just finding the best person you can be and not listening to all the naysayers and whatnot. And then the final album is essentially like where society has collapsed, the place without sun. You know, the album ends with lightning because there's no more sun. And even the cover kind of exemplifies that. It's very dark, you know, the back cover is dark. It's just... So
basically, you're as you're talking about the themes in the album, it just sounds like the last 2 years that we've had.
Yeah, very much. And my themes have been, it's weird because with Ruins and then the EP Riots, I talked about these like events, you know, riots occurring, just turmoil within society. And that's always been a theme of my music. And even the song Outbreak, the first version I recorded, you know, just rough guitar parts was in 2017. So it's weird how everything kind of played out. That's how come when there actually did happen, when an outbreak did occur, I decided like, I got to do this, you know?
So when you were describing the themes and it's an album that it's like 32 minutes in length. So it goes by pretty quickly, but I like that the first song is long and the last one is also long, like 8 minutes. Right. So I felt like there was that theme, not really a concept album, but there's some themes that run throughout the whole songs that kind of connect them in a way, right?
Yeah. You're right. It is it's a 31, 32 minute running length album, but I feel like it runs smooth when you listen to it because the first track is so long. It takes up like a third of the album, and then the rest kind of just go by, and then you're left with the last song, and then that's the end. That's the end of the album. So.
I think length doesn't matter just as long as the songs are good. Hey, Slayer, Raining Blood is like 28 minutes, right?
That I just talked about that at practice. We were discussing how that was under 30 minutes, and that's a full run.
And it's a classic album, and then there's albums that are super long, and maybe you can get you can get bored if it's too long. So I think right now with albums, I think like 35, like 40 minutes, 45 minutes is a great length for albums. So now that you're planning on recording new material with the new form band, are you gonna go and do it with Jim Morris as well?
That's probably, as far as logistics are concerned, that's probably our best option because it is in Tampa. I am still considering Jamie because this new album is going to have a lot of, I told you it's a concept album, so there's going to be a lot of sound effects, a lot of storytelling behind the music, coinciding with the music. So Jamie is really good at being able to incorporate sounds, because like even with the Outbreak, how he did that alarm and then Theodore Roosevelt's speech at the end of the song, that I thought that was great how he incorporated that. So I'm still considering Jamie, but as far as logistics go, Morrisound would probably be our best option. Yeah,
you can maybe do parts. So do you already know what the concept for this new upcoming album will be?
Yes. So the concept is about a thought experiment that was done by a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I don't know. But anyways, it's about an experience machine. And essentially what it is if you go into this virtual world and you can experience life that's better than your own reality, then that's ultimately what it's about. It's about refuting hedonism, where life is only about pleasure. So that's what he wanted to do, was go into this machine and see if life truly is only about pleasure. So my concept is about a guy who is essentially, it's almost like if it goes beyond Nefarious means society survives, and then ultimately he finds a guy that has this machine, and he goes into this machine and he finds that he's happier when he's in this machine than he is in the real world. So then when he escapes this machine, the world is still crazy, and eventually what happens is he passes away while he's in the machine, and he doesn't know whether he's alive or dead, but he's happy.
Well, it sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty complex, as you can tell, but it's going to be a longer album. It's probably going to be about 13, 14 songs.
Yeah, but I love if like a good concept album is just great. I like when there's a story and you get immersed in the story. So I'm looking forward to listening to that. And so hopefully the future plans for the band is obviously get this album and hopefully have a tour with it, right?
Yeah, well, hopefully we get that drummer. That's the main objective. That's the main objective, is find a full-time drummer that can play our music, and we have good chemistry and everything, because the new guys are great. I mean, Kelly's an amazing guitarist. He's going to have a lot of he's going to contribute a lot to this new material, because he's a lot different than I am as a player. I'm more raw, and he's more I would say he's even more clean, because he plays a lot of Dream Theater. He's very proggy in his approach. And then Shawn's great as well. He can play piano, so I think I'm going to even have some standalone piano tracks in the album where there's no music, just piano to convey some melancholy.
So if your other guitar player he practices to Dream Theater, then he loves those 22-minute solos.
And he's going to do a lot of them too, because I need to save some time. So
it sounds great. So the Nefarious means right now, do you still have copies? I know you put it out on CD. Where can people who want to buy physical copies can get them?
Yeah, so I do. I still have some copies at the house, as you can tell. You can get them on Bandcamp, on the actual band's Bandcamp, or you can go on Narcoleptica Productions Bandcamp. That's the label from Russia that actually distributed the album. They're the ones that made copies for me, so you can still go on their Bandcamp and get plenty. Yeah,
maybe for the new album right now, vinyl is so hot that if you could, it's incredible that it sells more now than CDs. When back in the 90s when I grew up, it was unheard, like everyone bought CDs. But
yeah, it's ironic how everything is retro now. No one even buys CDs anymore. So, it's rare.
Yeah. So yeah, and you can obviously stream in the platforms.
Oh yeah,
everywhere. So
right.
I wish you the best of luck on the album that you have, and find the drummer and getting that new album finished. It sounds really interesting. Maybe when you finish that album, I could do another interview with the full band and talk about the new album, because it sounds like something I would like to talk about.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. Hopefully we can go in the studio by the end of the year, but probably it's going to be sometime next year. I'm assuming. Yeah, just to be more realistic. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Dominic, it was great chatting with you. Thank you for taking some time to chat with me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Everyone, go get the Announce the Apocalypse album. It's great. If you like thrash metal mixed with some death metal and prog elements, this will be right up your alley. So until next time, this is the Shield Dude in the Couch, and I'll see you next time right here on the couch. Yeah.